All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the lab, episode 38. Today we have Shannon Schneider on the call with us today. We'll talk about rock climbing and his journey with that. But before we start, how you guys' weeks going so far?
Good. Yeah.
Going good. You know, I got up every morning to go work out, so I'm feeling fresh.
Hell yeah.
Small wins.
Absolutely. That's exciting. I had such a weird morning. I went and worked out like I always do, and Arnold Schwarzenegger was right next to me, randomly. And so, yeah, that threw me off really hard. So it wasn't the best, most productive workout, but it was definitely fun.
So, when you see Arnold, do you see Arnold as like bodybuilding Arnold? Do you see him as like Terminator Arnold or like Kindergarten Cop Arnold? You know, there's so many different ones.
There's so many. I see him as bodybuilding Arnold, but that's just because his face is plastered all over my gym. It's
Isn't
it
there?
has to be weird.
He's also like Governor Arnold, right? Wasn't he the governor too?
The governor.
I'm in California, so I could see him as the governor.
Shit, I kind of forgot that
forget.
Yeah, I forgot about that too.
And like it was an era where like bodybuilding wasn't a thing in my life, so I only knew him as like a movie star.
He's Terminator for me.
Did you grow up here, Shannon?
I grew up here.
With me.
Yeah. I'm out of Columbus, but I typically say I'm from Wisconsin because that's where my family's originally from. I love going back there, so, but raised here.
Yeah, because when I was younger, like the Arnold Sports Festival was like a huge deal. So that's when I always thought of him. Like that was the first time I ever saw like a famous person was at one of those. So, yeah. That's where my mind goes.
Yeah. My dad took me there when I was younger, and I remember just really enjoying all the free stuff. Just jamming all the fitness bars into my bag that I could find. I felt like I was trick-or-treating at the Arnold Fitness Fest, you know.
That's basically what you do.
Yeah, I don't think that's changed at all.
Oh man.
Cool. That's fun. So Shannon runs the Queer Climbing Collective here in Columbus, and you founded it and started it from a little baby, and now it has events every week. Tell us a little bit about just some background and how you got there and that jazz. A little intro.
Yeah. So I guess I'll start a little bit. We were founded in April. We had our first event. I'd been working on it probably for about 2 years before I actually pulled the trigger and did it. But it's been going really well. We have over 4 events a month. In the wintertime, we have like 4 because we don't go outside. But during the prime summer season, we're doing probably like 6 to 8 events a month. And it's been super awesome. The community is great. People keep showing up and having a good time. And I just think one of the reasons is because it's a safe space and a gym atmosphere. It's a safe space for queer people in fitness and kind of do an alternative form of fitness. Climbing's kind of exploded. So,
Absolutely. What made you so eager to make something like that in Columbus? Like, how did climbing change your life and your fitness and all that?
yeah, so I was a high school athlete. I played soccer, softball, basketball, mainly soccer. And I got injured in high school and I couldn't live out my Division I dreams, stereotypical story. Which it hits you really hard when you're in high school because that's like your life. You don't realize there's other things outside of it. And so I played at like a small D3 school for 1 year in college, and then I realized I wanted to see where my life took me without soccer. So I kind of quit it all together and started trying new activities, and then one day a coworker was like, "Have you tried rock climbing?" And I was like, "Rock climbing isn't that just something you do at like galleons or like public lands? Like it's not actually a
Yeah.
sport, right?" And he's like, "No, there's a gym." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So about 7, 8 years ago now, I started that journey and I fell in love with it and did it off and on for many years, and then like really full force took it on as my fitness. Um, and I actually have suffered a few concussions over the years, so like contact sports I'm not allowed to do. And wear a helmet when you climb. So, um,
That's smart.
yeah.
Cool. So when would you say you started the like just climbing in general? Like was it like love at first sight? Did it take you a while to get into like the routine of it all? Like how have you been like consistent since you started? All that kind of stuff.
Fitness was always hard for me before transitioning because I never felt comfortable in my body. So it was hard for me to be consistent in anything that I did. Because the sads would happen. So
Yeah.
um, I started really falling in love with climbing as I started transitioning, and it gave me a new way and appreciation and love for my body. And it's a very similar experience shared by a lot of trans climbers is that they actually found positivity in their body when they started climbing and focusing on the small movements and small successes. But I fell in love with it even more after I learned there were other queer climbing organizations. So I'm not the first.
Hmm.
There's one called Stonewall Climb DC, and there's a wonderful guy that runs that, and they kind of got me into it, and I was like, why isn't this in Columbus? I was like, we're a queer, super dense queer city, right? Like you're walking
Yeah.
anywhere and you probably are going to spot somebody from your community or a small pride flag. Um, and it's kind of taken off since then. He helped me get it started, and then I was like, all right, let's go. Took 2 years, a lot of bumps in the road to figure out the process. It's hard starting a nonprofit from nothing, and a little bit of small investment on my part as well, monetarily to get it off the ground. Um, but yeah, it's been great.
That's fantastic. Uh, Go ahead. Cody.
I was just gonna say I remember when rock climbing used to be in the X Games, and that's like my first memory of it. But it's not in the X Games anymore. But I feel like it should be. I don't know. It's like it is a extreme sport because it's like danger, you know.
Yeah, it's actually in the Olympics now. Crazy.
Yeah.
First year last year. Yeah.
That's rad.
Yeah, I've seen some of the like because it's like speed climbing, right? Like in the Olympics, right? And like
Yeah, speed climbing.
I've seen a couple of them before, and it's just like Jesus Christ, they put Spider-Man to shame. Um, do you have you ever like I know from my like brief experience in like the outdoors and like outdoor activities like to the level where they get to sport like that they all seem to be pretty accepting and like of basically any walks of life. Has that been your experience? Like it's a friendly environment to kind of stake our claim there.
Yeah, I think like everything, it depends. There's still small groups everywhere, but for the majority, I feel like the outdoors community for specific sports. So I like to say there's the REI outdoors community, and then there's the Cabela's outdoor community. Like if you had to picture that.
Good.
So,
That's a good distinction.
um, yeah. Um, when you go into both shops, they're both outdoors, equipment, sports, recreation, but there's definitely a different community at each. So if you go to the REI side, your public land side, that's very welcoming. And you go to Cabela's or some of the other ones, and you're like, they're not supporting any LGBTQ flags today, just camo and stuff. Not to, not to stereotype, but that's the best way to explain it simply. So.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, because like Cody and I participate in a sport that's like mostly not the most friendly, I would say, or maybe a little bit more resistant to change, we'll just say. And so I think uh, going, because I've been to a couple of your guys' events, and it's just so energetic and accepting, and like that's the vibe you get when you walk in the whole gym. It's not just even like when you approach your group specifically, or but like the whole gym is like, oh hey, how's it going? Like super friendly, super bubbly, super welcome. And I think that's so cool and such a because like kind of rock climbing gyms can kind of be a little bit intimidating just because it's so big and everybody looks like they know what they're doing, and so it can be a little intimidating. But your the community and the atmosphere that you have managed has been just fantastic. Um, Cody, have you ever been rock climbing?
Not seriously. I feel like I've done, those like mobile walls they bring to like fucking fairs and school shit. So I've done a
Yeah.
few of those, but obviously not the biggest wall to climb. And I was probably like 10, so obviously not very hard either.
Well, it sounds like you got something new to try. You'll have to
There you
Yeah.
come
go.
to Columbus sometime and visit. But the
Yeah.
gyms can be super intimidating. You walk in and you just like slowly look up and you're like, I can't climb that. And a lot of people use that, I can't do that. But truly, climbing is for everybody. There's different sets on the wall that is appropriate for multiple people, kids. They even have like short person versus tall person climbs and stuff like that. And it, I don't know, it's if you want to continue to build a community and if you want your sport to get better and evolve, you have to be welcoming to new folks. Otherwise,
Hmm.
that's how you allow a sport or community to die out. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Um, what do you like? How do you tell? What do you tell people who come to you and are like, "Oh, that looks like so much fun," but like I just can't do that, or I'm worried or have that gym phobia. How do you approach that when someone tells you that?
when somebody comes up and they say, like, I can't do that, I say, climbing is something that teaches you that it's small steps towards getting there. Maybe today you can't do it, but in the future you can. And even if you're just getting one more hold up the wall from where you were previously, that's a success. It's not getting
Hmm.
to the top. It's just getting that small, slight feeling of getting better. And even with the sport called bouldering, where you don't use any ropes and you just go up probably about like 20 feet and then jump down, um, it's really easy for you to feel success from just getting one hold higher because it is so hard, and that's what the small successes help. But I also like to tell another story because my partner, she told me the same thing when we first started dating, and she's like, I can't climb. I'm scared of heights." And I go, "That's okay. Let's just go. We'll get you on the rope, and you climb as high as you want and come back down." And we did that a lot until finally she got to the top one time, and then she like was like, "I'm not letting go." So I had to climb up next to her and count to three and let go with her. And then now though she climbs all the time. But I always tell people it's okay to be scared. It's okay to feel like maybe you can't do it at this moment, but you need to take the small wins and allow yourself to feel that fear and continue to do it. And that takes courage and it's a feeling of accomplishment when you do. You'll feel better. So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think
It's
that's like all sports, essentially, all fitness journeys is it's the same thing, right? Progressive overload.
yes,
Sorry, Cody, I cut you.
No, I was just saying it's like one of those. It's a really good sport to pursue, like conquering fears. If you're afraid of heights or you just like don't have good belief in yourself, it's one of those things where it's like really great way to build confidence. And same with maybe strength training and stuff like that. But I feel like rock climbing has this weird like symbolic significance. Like you're literally climbing a wall or a mountain, which we usually only use in analogies with strength training. So it's like you're literally doing this analogy right now. You're getting over your fears, climbing a wall. So go you.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And I don't know, it definitely takes courage to get up on the wall and actually attempt to do something and celebrate those small wins. But um, I don't know, climbing, it really is something for everybody to try and have some fun. And I do joke around climbing, though, is about 80% socializing and 20% climbing. Because you usually go in a group and you like do a couple climbs, and that's why people spend like 4 hours at the gym because they just end up talking and then climbing, and you have to take rests too, otherwise you won't be successful. So kind of teaches you that patience.
Oh, I love that. I
So like, what is? Sorry, go for it.
No, go for it.
I was just gonna say, like, what would like programming look like for rock climbing? Like, how do you apply progressive overload? Is it like, oh, I'll just climb this far today, or I'm sure you guys have like fundamentals courses, like, how to reach or grip, or where to put your feet, and how to, come down, how to bail, like
Yes.
that sort of thing.
I always say I've seen all types of climbers be able to climb and people who maybe aren't successful in their initial approach. And it's because a lot of climbing does involve technique that you learn over time. And the only way to learn technique is by trial and failure. So to succeed, you almost have to fail because you learn that that's not the way I can do it. So I have to try something else. And it's a really good life lesson too, that to succeed, you have to fail. Um, but in these training sessions, some good ones is like make sure you extend your arms all the way out. So you're allowing gravity to do the work and you're not, I guess, tightening your muscles continuously and losing energy. Teaches you to conserve energy in your movements and make sure you remember to use your feet. It's called a campus when
That's
you
my
only use
fault.
your arms. And so you should,
That's how I fuck
that's
up.
Cal's technique. No, I'm just kidding. But the beauty in climbing is that there's so many different ways to do it, and everybody has so many different body shapes and sizes that there's no right way either. There's ways that'll help you, but if you like pick your foot up and then your right hand and your left hand, or if someone's just tall enough to reach for the next hold, it's all different types. So I guess that's also why we're accepting of a lot of different types of people too, because you can learn from everybody who may be different from you on how to do new moves or approach things differently. Because it's like a mental puzzle as well. It's not just fitness.
That was the thing that always shocked me because my girlfriend Maddie is very into it, as Shannon knows her and everything. Like she's very good at climbing, and I'm very not, and I just like brute strength my way through it. So like I get up there and I like will just do like pull as hard as I can to move up the wall, essentially, not using legs. And Maddie would make fun of me because she would be like, I would, reach my foot up and then push off my foot. And instead, you like hold on with one arm, jump to the other side, and then pull. And it's just like, and I get down at the end and I'm just like exhausted. and she's like, I don't honestly know what I just watched. And I'm like, I got it. And she's like, you did, yes. And because it is so much more mental than like I really thought. Because I don't know if it's just like the novice in me, but I'm like I just assumed that there was only one way up. So like if you didn't do the right patterns, you just didn't do it, and like you wouldn't be successful. And she's like, no, there's like a gazillion ways that you can approach each climb. like, I didn't know.
Yeah, and strength only gets you so far with climbing, which I'm sure you've learned as well. Is once you get to a certain point, you have to learn the moves and the techniques. But strength helps. It does help. I don't lie to people and be like, oh, it's okay. Like, strength doesn't do anything. No, I mean it does help, but there's other ways to approach it as well. That's why everybody's different. Whatever your strength is. Mine is usually body movement, so I can move my body and shift my weight to get up the wall really well, and not like I don't know, lose my balance. So, but strength I can work on.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, you have to have some amount of strength to like just hang on to that damn wall. Like the little holds are so small, and I'm like, I don't understand how anybody who's like has like giant hands, like how they would even like make that happen. Like, I can't imagine. Like you'd have to like hook on with like one finger at a time.
It's crazy. That's probably not something bodybuilders usually train their hands,
Uh, yeah.
but climbers do. It's called a hangboard. And
Oh yeah.
typically they recommend after a year of climbing, so you don't pull your tendons, you just hang by your fingertips. It almost sounds like a torture device, doesn't it?
Very
Sounds like
much
your
so.
fingertips will just like break.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh man. So what if someone wanted to get better and like came to like me or Cody and like I want to get improve my strength for climbing. Um it really feels like a whole body exercise. Is that correct? My assumption?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of muscles that'll help you more, but it really is a total body. And some of the things that I've learned from different climbing coaches is doing fitness exercises that mimic the movements of climbing. So
Hmm.
one that's really big in the climbing community, and I don't know terminology very well, but hopefully that's where y'all come in. Um, but usually you have the ropes tied to like a pull-up bar, and you hang back, and you have to pull yourself up.
Oh yeah.
Um, and
Rows.
that really helps with the same movement. So yeah, rows. There you
Yeah.
go. And doing those different things that mimic climbing movements, pull-ups. People obviously are doing those a lot. Things like that.
That's very cool, very cool.
nice.
Do you is it a lot different climbing inside versus outside?
Yes. So typically the first thing that happens when people go from gym to outside is they're overwhelmed. The gym has these very pretty colors and the holds are, and the routes are all set up for you. When you go outside, you're just like, that's a rock. Where do I go? Um,
I've never been outside climbing
there's so
before.
many options.
Yeah, there.
Yeah.
No,
But outside climbing's more beautiful. So, but
that's
it can be a little harder, but it doesn't have to be. There's plenty of routes that have like big holes in the rocks. Usually that's caused by like air pockets in the rocks and it like explodes out and then it becomes a really nice grippy hold. Um, but yeah, a lot of people are at first intimidated by going outside, but it honestly, if you find the right route, there's a grading system that can tell you like, is it easier? Is it harder? Stuff like that. You just have to know a lot more knots. So
Yeah, that would be the scarier part for me is going outside and then not tying something right and just yeah, that scares me.
You could still fall
but
off in the gym, Cody.
But they got pads at the bottom and the roof is only so high, so you got to limit to your death points there.
Yeah,
Outside.
Cody's doing El Capitan first, actually. So
Oh
yeah,
man.
it's a whole nother ball game. You got to have gear, you got to have rope, you got to have the knowledge base, and that's kind of where also Queer Climbing Columbus comes in, is to kind of ease those access issues by allowing you to learn through a community-based education. We're not like a guide service or anything like that, or an education course, but by bringing people together with different depths of knowledge, you can learn from each other and kind of have that basis. So.
that's so smart. I love that, and it really makes it accessible to all. And how big are you guys, or how big are you all now? How many members do you have, or do you have a membership base? Or...
We don't do the membership base. We're just like open, come when you can. No expectations. But we've reached over 400 queers and allies that have come to our events. And then we have over 1,000 followers on Instagram and Facebook now. And a lot of people are like, I want to make it out soon, or, life comes up. But once they come to at least two of our events, they typically become like coming every time or 3 times a month or something like that. Um, it's something about having a community in fitness that brings you back as well. When you enjoy the group you're with and you're making friends and having fun while you're doing it. So it's really
Absolutely.
amazing to see.
I love that, and I think you hit on something that is the community that keeps you coming back, and like that accountability. I think that really helps people and like changes lives just because it gets them moving, gets them feeling accepted. I think that's really really awesome to do. Um, do you, do you have like what is your top goal for queer climbing Columbus? Do you have one?
Um, we have a few different goals. We want to offer more like outdoor classes, scholarships. We have a gear collective that's going to kick off January 1st, where people can actually get brand new gear at no cost to themselves.
Wow.
Um, and then also, we're trying to pay for gym classes as well, so people can take different tests. We've had though through our like community education and helping people find friends to take classes with. I think we've had about 50 people get belay certification, is what it's called, or take their belay test, not certification, take their belay test at the
Yeah.
gym, which means they can actually hold somebody else. And that's been really great as well. And a few people taking their lead, which is a different type of climbing, a little more difficult and technical. Um, but yeah, that's our hopes for the future is just kind of offer more events, pay for people to come to the gym during our event. It's completely free if people can't afford it, stuff like that. You know,
I love
keep
that.
building on it.
Absolutely.
That's
You'll have a whole army of climbers. I love it.
Army of climbers, we're ready.
Climbing over castle walls. I think it can be really useful in the coming apocalypse. Um, that's awesome. Uh,
Always.
uh, I think can we go a little bit back? I know I'm backtracking a little bit. Tell us about how like climbing made you feel secure in your body and like how it helped you through your transition in a little bit more. I know we went over that a smidge, but I just kind of wanted to dig in because I think it can be fitness. Trans people, I think, tend to think want to escape their body, and fitness really kind of forces you to deal with body issues and like in a lot of ways. And I kind of just interested to hear how it helped and hindered, or maybe was a little painful at the beginning.
Yeah. So what's interesting is I realized I guess the light bulb went off and in my final acceptance was in a gym, the art pack at Ohio State. I was like sitting down lifting, and I just looked in the mirror and I was like, it just like came into my head and I was like, yeah, you're trans. You need to accept that. Um, I don't know what triggered it in that moment, but I used to be like super skinny, probably too skinny. Not on purpose. I was just very active and like forgot to eat. But um and I remember wanting to be skinny though as well because I didn't want that heaviness on my chest and I wanted to feel like, everything would feel good, but it never did. No matter how good I looked or whatever, or how skinny I felt, it never felt right. When I realized I was trans, um, there was like an initial uptick in the gym, and then there was like the self-consciousness that hit, and then I just dropped completely out of the gym, um, and climbing actually for a second. And then I got back into fitness by starting to climb again. And it kind of made me feel positivity towards my body because every time I had a small accomplishment in climbing, whether that's reaching that next hold or, topping out on something I've been working on, I felt excitement. And I said, my body just did that. That's cool. Um, I am capable of amazing things. And then, I entered my first climbing competition as a man, and it felt really super awesome because I just walked up and I said it, and they were like, "Here you go, here's your packet," and there's like nothing else to it. So there's a little bit of gender euphoria there, and it just you start to realize that no matter what you feel about your body, it is actually capable of climbing, succeeding, and having a good feeling about it. And then absolute gender euphoria, climbing shirtless. So, there's nothing better than that.
Hell yeah.
We make fun of the gym bros that rip off their shirt while climbing or whatever, but gotta admit, it's a great feeling.
Yeah. I think Cody and I can understand that one. For sure. That's awesome. I love that, and I think that is like the one thing that is uh, the it's like the best part of like transitioning and feeling good about your body is just like seeing those changes and like you can be in control of them just because for so long you feel so out of control. So I think that's really awesome. I'm glad you're helping the community feel that and get those kinds of like gains, and that everybody in the community is there to help prop them up, support them in any way they can. So that's really dope.
Yeah, it's really great though having people around you, and when someone does reach the top, our group is cheering for them or like screaming like "Great job," almost like what a coach would do, but it's your friend. So it feels good.
That's so cool. In climbing competitions, and I know this is probably a stupid question, is it always speed? Like it's like how fast you get up the wall?
So the Olympics and like climbing in general typically has three different categories. So there's lead climbing, which is basically the ones you may see at a climbing gym where it has little clips hanging down, and you have to
Mm-hmm.
clip in as you climb. So that's a more technical version. And then there's also bouldering, which is like if you had to put it in, I guess, your typical sport analogy, it's like the sprint. It's super intense strength based and a sprint to the top, whereas like leads more endurance based. And then there's speed, whereas literally a actual sprint to the top, which is the similar holds every single time. And it's really amazing to watch for sure. Real life Spider-Man, like you said.
That's the one above like I've seen a bunch of videos where they're above a pool. Is that sprinting? Or I guess maybe
Yeah,
bouldering?
well, there's some that are above a pool. Most of them are on like an auto belay, which is basically
Uh,
like a machine that slowly drops you down. The pool ones are super cool though, where you drop straight in. The only hard part is you typically use chalk when you climb, like a gymnast or anybody else. And if you're, you know, climbing and your chalk gets wet, that's it for that chalk bag for a little while. But there's also deep water soloing, which is not a like an actual like Olympic sport or anything, but you can climb like in Fayetteville, near Fayetteville, it's called Somerville Lake. The lake's so deep you can climb up the side of the rock and jump in, which is super cool.
wow. That also sounds terrifying.
Yeah.
Can you like I feel like I would be so worried about hitting something on the way down.
Oh no, this one's good. That lake is so deep, and there's a specific spot. I'm scared a little bit of water, so I climb as high as I feel comfortable and jump off. But there's people climbing up like 60 feet, jumping into the water. I swear. So
No, thank you.
yeah, free soloing, no ropes, just climbing, and then you fall into the water.
Oh
So
gosh, I don't know about that one. The first time I ever went
I'd
climbing
rather
with Maddie,
just.
I climbed all the way back down instead of letting go.
Yeah, I'd rather hit the
fear is
ground than the
normal.
water.
You can climb in a life jacket. You
That's
pass
true.
out on the way down, you're still floating.
That's true.
And then just bob. Yeah, that'd be easy. Easier.
Yep.
I
Yep.
guess it would probably could prevent your climbing abilities. Um, that's so cool.
A little bit. Snagged on a rock.
Yeah. So I don't have very many more questions. I think my top question is, where is your favorite place to outside climb, and then where is your dream climbing location?
So my favorite place to outdoor climb is New River Gorge, West Virginia. There's something about West Virginia that pulls me in. And unlike other rural southern states, I don't feel unsafe there. Um, West Virginia is a lot like you do you, I do me, and whatever works, works. So it's not like, I don't know, an unsafe feeling, and it's just absolutely beautiful. It just became a national park. It's New River Gorge.
Hmm.
And it's the bridge scene, if you've ever
I
seen it.
remember the
It used to
bridge.
be
Yeah.
the longest bridge in the world. Yeah, in that style. And yeah, it's just absolutely gorgeous. My dream location that I want to climb at, or at least my next location, I want to go to Chattanooga, Tennessee. Supposedly, it's really great bouldering, ropes climbing, and all that stuff. So that's where I want to go, but we'll see when I get there. Yosemite is everybody's dream as a climber, so that's like the obvious answer. Um, maybe someday, but with climbing, you can take it as far as you want or keep it where you like it. So
Hmm.
we'll see.
Yeah, Yosemite's out by Cody. You can go send them
Yes.
pictures.
All right, get started.
All right, get out there, Cody.
Yeah. I think so. I don't know how many hours away, but still a little bit of a trek, but it's closer than you guys for sure.
In Ohio.
Yeah, there's a few queer climbing organizations in California too. There's Queer Climbing Collective, and then Queer Crush. And Queer Crush also helped us a little bit get started. Super cool people.
That's
Um,
cool.
yeah, they're all over now. We're popping up everywhere. We're a network, so
Oh,
it's
nice.
like
So awesome.
Fight Club.
But you talk about it at least, so that's good.
Yeah, we don't have that rule, so.
Is there anything that we missed, Shannon? I want to make sure you get all your brags out.
Yeah, I really just want people to see that there's multiple ways to be fit, multiple ways to take fitness as your own. Um, Climbing's just one of them. We also do like hikes and stuff like that, and you know, it doesn't have to be one way. There's so many different ways, just like climbing a route. There's so many ways to get fit, so many ways to be healthy. It's all what you enjoy and what you like to do, and there's something out there that you enjoy. But I guess my overall goal with everything is to show people fitness can be fun and, kind of connect rural communities and outdoors communities together to show that queer people exist in the outdoors. So, but it's been a journey. So I appreciate y'all hosting me on here.
Absolutely. Thank
Yeah.
you so much. And I think you completely are correct. It's just finding that niche of fitness that you like. And because if you don't like it, you're not going to be consistent. So finding something you love is key.
100%.
Absolutely. All right, Cody, you ready for your power talk?
Yes,
Let's hear it.
I am. Let me see. Now I gotta find it real quick. All right. So this one's pretty simple, and I'm sure probably most people have actually heard it already. But it is whether you think you can or you can't. Either way, you're right. So basically, that's one of my favorites because it always just makes me think of, your inner self-talk and like your self-belief, and it has a big impact on what you believe about yourself. So it's kind of like if you tell yourself you can't do something, chances are you're not going to be able to because you're going to believe that. But so it's like you got to counteract that negative self-talk with positive reinforcement. Believe in yourself a bit more, tell yourself you can do things, don't put as many limitations on yourself, because most people are capable of more than they actually know. So, yeah, just believe you can, and chances are you can.
Yes. Belief is most of the trick, right? Got to get your mind on
Yep.
board before you can get your body on board.
Yep, exactly.
All right, I love it. Well, thank you so much, Shannon, and talk to you guys all later.
All right, peace out.
Peace. Bye.